Child, did y'all get into the Netflix Tyler Perry film Straw featuring Taraji, Sherri Shepherd, and Teyana Taylor over the weekend? I did. And here's what I want to say to y'all before we even get this party started, right? Y'all have to make room for people to have a negative critique of Tyler Perry's work without it becoming black folks always tearing black people down, black crabs in the barrel. Y'all kill me with that shit, okay? Siskel and Ebert made a whole career out of reviewing movies objectively, and it was what it was. Now, this movie, I don't want y'all to think because I led with this at the top of this video that it's going to be a negative review, because it's not, all right? But y'all have to make room for people to be able to say, oh, this was jacked up, oh, I didn't like this, without it becoming black folks tearing people down. Since when did we get to a place where we're not allowed to give each other criticism, good, bad, or indifferent? Want to talk about it? Here you go. Did y'all watch the Single Black Mama Struggle movie over the weekend? Straw? I did. And I'm here to tell y'all I've got a whole lot of robust conversation that I want to have around this movie, right? And I started with that opening in this segment, Single Struggling Black Woman Movie, because this movie was very niched, and that's who it was talking to. This movie was talking to a very Pacific person. It was talking to a very Pacific experience in America, and it was speaking to that poor, single, black mother that doesn't have a village and that is always stressed out. Now, a lot of people related to this movie, right? And all the people that are saying, oh, it's so good, and oh, I cried. I'm of the school of thought that's because people can relate to the movie. I'm a black gay man, but I want to tell you something. I related to the movie deeply through the eyes of my mother. And so I think that's where the it's good, I was crying, oh, excellent movie came from. There were a group of people whose experience had been brought to life on television. There was a group of people who sometimes go overlooked, who now feel seen. And for that, Tyler Perry, we have to say thank you. And for that, I have to say, beautiful single, black moms who may be struggling from time to time, doesn't it feel good to feel seen? Doesn't it feel good to be able to commune with other people under the umbrella of what it is you're going through and a shared experience? I'm sure a lot of black single moms or black moms, period, or black women, period, walked away from this film crying and feeling the way I felt on the first episode of Pose. I've told y'all this story before. At the very end, when Damon started dancing to Whitney Houston after his dad kicked him out and he made it into school in New York, as a gay man at that time, that was the first time in my entire life that I had seen me, my story, my pain, my ambitions plastered on a television screen. And that's why I can relate to this feeling that a lot of people have about the movie, saying it was so great. So here's what I have to say. Anytime art can make somebody feel, anytime it can move somebody to chorus, it's done its job. All right? But what I do think that's a little unfair is that I think some people in the viewing audience get so caught up in the orgasm of what they felt and the orgasm of what they experienced that the minute you have any type of pushback that's incongruent with how they feel or what they're feeling, then it becomes this big hate thing. Like, oh, you're hating on Tyler Perry. Y'all always, black people always. And it's not that, guys. Like, I was sitting down watching the movie over the weekend with friends. I can't help the fact that I'm watching the movie simultaneously playing in my phone, and then I just realized certain things. The first thing that I realized, and before I get into what I realized, here is what I think Mr. Perry should. Oftentimes, Tyler Perry and his team and the actors that participate with him they wear it as a badge of honor. Oh, we filmed a movie in 4 days. Oh, we filmed a movie in a week. Oh, we filmed the whole thing in a week. Like they wear that as a badge of honor. And to a varying degree, it could be, right? Tyler Perry has amassed his billions at this point, um, by really shrinking his, partly by shrinking his productions. Therefore, you're cutting down on a whole lot of production costs. You're making millions of dollars after only spending this much. But sometimes it's evident. You know what I'm saying? And then when you get on radio interviews, like I knew this was made in 4 days because of Taraji's Breakfast Club interview. She's like, yeah, he doubled my money. He doubled my money. And my quote, just for 4 days worth of work. And it's like, well, yeah, because y'all didn't have to spend 3 months worth of budget money. So yeah, the money was there to do so. No shade, and I'm glad it happened for her. But just small things that I was getting attacked for. And that I noticed. The first thing that I noticed when I was watching the movie, and it got on my nerve, I'm not going to lie to you. The school called. Colonel Taylor was just talking to her so nasty. He was talking to her so nasty. For me, it just felt a little unsolicited and unrealistic. I mean, and again, a lot of people were saying, if you can't relate, you ought to be blessed and you ought to be glad, and y'all don't understand people going through stuff like that for real. And I have to make an allowance for that. Maybe they are. However, you can't beat the rest of us up that are not familiar with that and that are just asking questions, all right? Colonel Taylor talking to Taraji, the way he was talking to her and cussing her out and being that mean, that was a lot for me, all right? And then it's like in the first 15 minutes of the movie, the goddamn world came to an end. Now, here is where I want to pause, because a lot of people was like, Funky Dineva, you just don't know. Life really do happen like that for some people. Life really do happen like that for some people. And I agree and I disagree. I think that it's the overall feeling of being overwhelmed, and when it rains, it pours. I think that that is what people were connecting with, right? Because even in that moment, I was like, damn, I remember that time. I was out of my job. I was staying with my best friend, Jonathan. I got pulled over by the police and given a ticket. My car got impounded. And then subsequently, I didn't have the money to get it out of impound or pay the car note. So the car ended up getting repossessed. You know what I'm saying? These are all things that happen. And these are all things that in my life, these are all things that happen across, some weeks or some days. To drop all that on that lady in one day, maybe it is real life. It was just a lot for me. It ran my pressure up. I was like, oh God, I was just so frazzled because it was like we didn't even have 5 minutes to breathe before something else happened. The school called. The bank wouldn't cash her check. She went to the school and CPS took the kids. She got evicted. She was on the way back to work, got into an accident. Then the man threatened to kill her. Then the lady took her car. Then she went back to work. Colonel Taylor was cussing her out, and she wanted a check. In the midst of getting her check, he told her he had to mail it. Then somebody came in just their luck to rob them. Then she made a mistake and shot Colonel Taylor. Then she made a mistake and walked in a gun. It was just like, y'all, and come on. Come on. You can like the movie. You can like the movie, not be a traitor to Tyler Perry, and just be like, y'all, that's a bit much. However, I think, once again, it's the feeling of being overwhelmed, having the chips stacked against you and everything falling down on you at once is what these women and people who were struggling or people who have struggled before in the past was connecting with. And with that, I get it. I think it was a little embellished, pushed a little far, but he definitely conveyed the sentiments and conveyed the points. Here is the other thing. Why did Teyana Taylor look so draggy? And it's almost like Tyler gets the same critiques every movie with the hair and the makeup department. And I think one time, I'm paraphrasing here, but when he was brought to the table about it, he said something along the lines of, "I'm not spending all that time changing no wigs and all that," or something to that effect that let us know he knows what's going on, but he ain't got time for all of that. And I get it. It's his business, his studio, his shows, his money. He can do whatever he wants to do. But the devil is in the details. I just don't understand why it has to be a running theme that the hair and makeup on the people look bad. Or maybe on the detective salary, that's what her wig would have looked like. Nevertheless, Teyana Taylor did an amazing job. Sherri Shepherd did an amazing job. And Taraji Henson hit the ball out of the park, conveying woman stressed out, overworked, overwhelmed. She did an absolute amazing job. Sherri, Teyana, and Taraji carried the movie. Excellent film. Excellent acting in that regard. It's just the small things. And I don't want people to think that those of us who notice these things are like watching the movie looking for something to critique. Never. Never. I'm not going into it with a negative eye looking for something, but it's just like, case in point. When Taraji got to the bank, Taraji never held those people hostage. We did not find out. There was no verbiage or actions that suggested those people were being held hostage until the middle of the movie. She never got hostile. She never said nobody's going nowhere. She never said get on the ground. She never instructed anyone to lock the door. She went up to the thing. The security guard locked the door. When those people found out that they were being robbed, she was nice and there was nothing stopping them from walking out the damn door. It's those types of things that are missing. And granted, I was sitting on my phone, looking and on the phone, and I'm like, wait a minute, they're not being held hostage. And then eventually, a little down the line, the story develops a little more, and it's like, okay, they think she's got a bomb in her book bag and she's got a gun in her hand. So the implication is she's holding up the bank. But she never walked in and held up the bank. She never even walked in and paid any attention to those people. She never said, everybody down. They found out a bank robbery was in progress and they just stood there. So it's those types of things. And y'all not finna sit here and tell people we have to overlook those type of plot holes and loops. And that's why I'm bothered sometimes when you go around and say, we filmed a whole movie in 4 days. Well, yeah, maybe if you would have spent 7 and look back at some of this, somebody would have been able to tie up some of these loose ends that make the difference. And this is not me being nitpicky. This is me liking good storytelling. Additionally, I like to consider myself a fairly intelligent person. But for whatever reason, the ending went over my head. For whatever reason, the ending went over my head, and if it wasn't for me posting on Instagram what happened, and then y'all getting in the Instagram comments and explaining to me what happened, I wouldn't have understood that her child had died the night before, but she was in so much shock from the trauma, and she did not want to believe it, that she went into a psychosis and she went on about her normal day. And in her mind, her child was not dead. Her child was taken by CPS because she could not believe her daughter was dead. And then compounded with the very bad day she was having. And again, all of that, I'm sure, pulled at the heartstrings of a lot of the single black moms, especially those that don't have a lot of resources, because that is what life could feel like. And Tyler did an excellent job depicting that. Overall, here is where I will leave it. Overall, I give the movie an A. And overall, I'm going to go out and tell people that you have to watch the movie because it is important for everybody's story to be told. All right. And even though I would have liked the story to have been told a little better, a little more details to have been provided, the story was still told, and what Tyler set out to accomplish was accomplished. I salute Tyler Perry, and I salute all the black single moms out there who can relate to the struggle that Taraji had. And I pray for those who are going through that struggle. But Tyler did a good job because we're sitting here having conversation and we're sitting here, talking about the struggles that people go through and we're building community. Me not being a black single mom, when Taraji pulled up to that school in that raggedy ass car, it was triggering for me because that was my mama. So don't get it twisted. You know what I'm saying? I related to a lot of it too. The stress levels that lady endured, that was my mother. Driving that raggedy ass car, rushing to work, things going wrong, that was definitely my mama. That was me as a child getting out that raggedy ass car with no air conditioning going into Myrtle Grove Elementary or whatever. So the movie can be relatable to people on all fronts. And I know that people keep saying, they're tired of seeing Tyler Perry basically hit one note, right? The struggling single black mom, no man, whatever. And here's the thing. Niche is messing a lot of y'all up. Niche is messing, or the concept of niche is messing a lot of y'all up. So who is Tyler Perry's core audience? The church people. Church is mainly comprised of who? Women. In the black church, black women. That is Tyler's audience, all right? And then, if we want to drill down even further, and while I'm not in his back office and I can't see all of his stats or whatever, I am sure the lion's share of Tyler Perry's audience is the black woman of a certain socioeconomic background. So when he's speaking to these people, he starts drilling. Tyler Perry in this movie was speaking to a very Pacific person. Very Pacific. And he did a good job in reaching her. He wasn't talking to you who went to Clark and you a banker at Bank of America. He wasn't talking to you. He wasn't talking to me. He wasn't talking to the divorcee who had it all and now, she fell from grace and had to get in government. So he was talking to the one that was struggling from the beginning. Daddy ain't in the picture, ain't got no network of family and friends, borrowing from Peter to pay Paul, low education, no education, working a menial job, raggedy car. He was speaking to a very Pacific person, and I'm glad that those people got an opportunity to be seen. Anywho, I'm finna jump off the line. I'll call y'all later. Bye.